Hello, welcome to OJ Studios. Please enjoy Making a Splash, by Olivia Julius. Chapter 1. The house was unusually quiet for a summer morning. Samantha had disappeared into her room, humming some pop song that was already stuck in my head, and I was camped out in the living room, a cereal bowl balanced on my knees, flipping through the channels with nothing better to do. Mom and Dad were out running errands, so the house was ours, which usually meant one of two things: total freedom or Samantha dragging me into something that would undoubtedly get us in trouble. I was just about to give up on TV, nothing but reruns and talk shows, when I heard the thud of footsteps behind me. Samantha appeared in the doorway, a mischievous glint in her eye. I knew that look all too well. "You know what would be awesome?" she asked, leaning casually against the doorframe. I glanced at her skeptically. "What?" "We should do something fun. Like, really fun." She grinned, the kind of grin that usually meant trouble. I groaned, sinking deeper into the couch. "Every time you say fun, it ends with me getting grounded or nearly breaking my leg." I shot her a pointed look. "Remember the skateboard incident?" Samantha rolled her eyes. "You're still mad about that? Come on, Alex, that was, like, 3 months ago. And you're fine now?" "Yeah, sure. After wearing a brace for 2 weeks." I crossed my arms. "So, what is it this time?" Samantha's grin widened, and I felt my stomach sink a little. "Okay, hear me out," she said, stepping into the room and sitting cross-legged on the coffee table, like she was delivering the pitch of a lifetime. "You know how I'm going to the water park with the girls later?" I raised an eyebrow. "Yeah. And?" "Well," she twirled a lock of her hair around her finger, a sure sign she was up to something. "You should totally come with us." I snorted. "Yeah, right! The only boy at a girls' day out? That'll go over great." "No, no, no! Not as Alex!" Samantha's eyes sparkled, and she leaned closer, like she was sharing a top secret plan. "As someone else." I gave her a confused look. "What do you mean someone else?" "Like..." She hesitated for a second, but her grin never wavered. "A girl. Just for the day. You could totally blend in. None of them would even know." I stared at her, waiting for her to crack and say she was kidding. But she didn't. "You've officially lost it," I said flatly, shaking my head. "There's no way I'm doing that." Samantha groaned dramatically, flopping backward on the coffee table. "Come on, Alex! It'll be fun! You've always said you wanted to know what girls get up to when boys aren't around. Well, this is your chance." I narrowed my eyes at her. "Why are you so determined to get me to come, anyway?" She sat up and folded her arms, her expression serious for the first time. "Honestly? The girls are all acting super weird about me bringing my brother. They think it'll ruin the vibe or something." I scoffed. "What, am I some kind of monster?" "No! It's not about you." She groaned again, dragging her hands down her face. "It's just... they want a girls' day, okay? If they see you as a boy, they'll be all weird about it. But if you were... you know... not Alex, it'd be totally different." The ridiculousness of it all made me laugh, but Samantha was looking at me with a kind of hopeful desperation that made it hard to brush her off completely. "And how exactly do you plan on turning me into a girl?" I asked, raising an eyebrow. "Gonna wave a magic wand or something?" To my surprise, Samantha's grin came back full force. "Actually... yeah... kinda." I blinked. "Wait, what?" She jumped up and darted out of the room, returning a moment later with a small, old notebook in hand. The cover was worn and peeling, the pages yellowed with age. She flipped through it excitedly. "Remember that book I borrowed from Tara? The one I told you was full of weird spells?" I frowned. "You mean the one you swore was just for fun? The one Mom told us not to mess with?" Samantha waved off my concern. Yeah, whatever. Turns out some of the stuff in here actually works. I tried a few small spells already, like, I made Dad's lucky pin reappear when he lost it, and I got my phone charger to untangle itself. She looked way too proud of that last one. I stared at her, half expecting her to burst out laughing and say it was all a joke. But she didn't. "So, you think you can turn me into a girl?" I asked slowly, trying to wrap my head around the idea. "Yep." She flipped to a page in the middle of the notebook and tapped it. "It's super easy. Just a little transformation spell. It'll only last for a day, and then you'll be back to normal. No harm, no foul." I leaned back on the couch, rubbing my temples. This has to be the dumbest idea you've ever had. Samantha pouted. "Come on, Alex! Don't you want to know what it's like? Even just for a few hours? You've always said girls get to have all the fun. This is your chance to find out for yourself." I hated how persuasive she could be. And, annoyingly, she wasn't wrong. I had wondered what it would be like, sometimes. But that didn't mean I was ready to jump headfirst into something this crazy. "And what if it doesn't work?" I asked. "It will," she said confidently, "and even if it doesn't, the spell only lasts until the next morning. It wears off automatically." I chewed the inside of my cheek, thinking it over. The idea was completely nuts. But then again, it did sound kind of exciting, in a weird way. "What's in it for me?" I asked, crossing my arms. Samantha's grin widened. "How about unlimited ice cream at the park?" I gave her a skeptical look. "You're bribing me with ice cream?" "Yup! And it's working!" "Oh, come on, Alex! Do you really want to be the only boy coming with us to the water park?" Samantha asked as she now followed me through the house, picking up a towel draped over her shoulder and a one-piece swimsuit from her room. I wanted to ask her how she got a swimsuit for a girl my age. I mean, that swimsuit wasn't her size. "You want me to turn into a girl?" I repeated, incredulously. "Not only become a girl, but go swimming with you and all your friends?" Samantha grinned, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "Exactly! Just for a little while! It'll be fun, I promise! No one will even know it's you, just for today!" I stared at the swimsuit she was holding up, a bright pink one-piece covered in little white flowers. The sight made my stomach twist in knots. It wasn't just the idea of turning into a girl that made my skin prickle, it was the thought of being seen like that by all her friends, girls I'd known for years. "But, why me?" I stammered, crossing my arms. "Why can't I just come as I am? I don't mind being the only boy. I'll just hang out, watch you guys swim." Samantha rolled her eyes, like I'd said the dumbest thing imaginable. "Alex, you don't get it. The whole point is for everyone to be relaxed. Trust me, none of the girls are going to chill if they know a boy is lurking around." "Lurking?" I raised an eyebrow. "I don't lurk!" Ignoring my protest, Samantha's smirk deepened, that familiar big sister look that made it hard to say no. "Come on, it's not even that hard! Just a quick little change and, poof! You'll get to experience everything like we do! It'll be a whole new adventure! And afterward? You'll change back, like nothing happened!" I hated how easy she made it sound. Just a quick change, like it wasn't completely crazy to transform into a girl for a day. But then again, the idea of going to the water park with her friends did sound kind of awesome. Just, not like this! "But what if I mess it up?" I asked, my voice faltering. "What if they can tell it's me, or something goes wrong?" Samantha stepped closer, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "That's the best part, Alex! They won't know! You look totally different, it's like being undercover! You've always said girls get to do cooler stuff together, right? Here's your chance to find out!" I hesitated, glancing at the swimsuit again. The bright pink fabric seemed to mock me, like it knew just how ridiculous this was. But there was a part of me, the part that loved a good challenge, that wasn't so sure anymore. What if Samantha was right? What if this was just a wild adventure, a once-in-a-lifetime experience? Maybe it would be kind of cool to see what it was like, even if just for a few hours. "How? How does it even work?" I asked cautiously. Samantha's grin widened, sensing my resolve weakening. "It's magic, she said, like it was the most obvious thing in the world. A harmless little spell. I already looked it up, super easy, I swear. That word, magic, made my stomach twist tighter, but also sparked a flicker of excitement. You've used it before? Nope. But I've read the instructions like 10 times. It's foolproof. I gave her a skeptical look. And what if something goes wrong? Samantha waved her hand dismissively. It won't. And even if it does, it only lasts until the end of the day. The spell wears off naturally, no matter what. I stood there, chewing the inside of my cheek, weighing the situation. Samantha's eyes sparkled with that excitement she always had when pulling me into her plans, like the time we snuck out to see that banned late-night movie, or when she convinced me to try skateboarding off the roof. It was always crazy, but it was always kind of fun, too. What's in it for me? I asked, partly as a last-ditch effort to resist, but mostly because I wanted to see what she'd offer. Samantha put a hand over her heart, feigning hurt. Alex! This is for you. You'll have fun. You'll get to understand what it's like from our side. And, she leaned in, lowering her voice conspiratorially, you'll get free ice cream. I crossed my arms tighter, but my resistance was slipping fast. The idea of going to the water park, of fitting in, experiencing something new. It was tempting. Before I could fully talk myself out of it, Samantha took my silence as permission. Yes! She cheered, pumping her fist. You're going to love this! I groaned, rubbing my face. Okay, fine. But I swear, if anything goes wrong. Nothing will go wrong. She interrupted, practically bouncing on her toes. Now, stand over there. I reluctantly shuffled to the middle of the room, arms crossed. This better not be some elaborate prank, Sam, I warned. Samantha grabbed a small, worn notebook from her bag, flipping through it until she found what she was looking for. She cleared her throat dramatically, like a magician about to perform a grand trick. Alright, Alex. Just stand still and relax, she instructed. Relax? Are you serious right now? I shot back, my nerves buzzing. She rolled her eyes but kept smiling. You'll be fine. Trust me. Now, close your eyes. I gave her one last skeptical look but did as she said. My heart pounded as I shut my eyes, feeling like I was about to step off a cliff, hoping there was a net at the bottom. I heard Samantha muttering softly, words that sounded strange, like a mix between a lullaby and something out of a fantasy movie. The room grew warm, and a tingling sensation started in my toes, spreading up my legs, rippling through my body. Oh! Is this supposed to feel weird? I asked, trying not to sound panicked. Shh, you're fine, Samantha whispered. It's working. The tingling intensified, like invisible hands gently molding and shifting me. I could feel my limbs changing, my arms, my legs, even my torso felt different. Smaller. Lighter. My clothes felt strange too, loose in some places, tight in others. My whole body was reshaping, like clay. I fought the urge to open my eyes, half terrified and half curious. Suddenly, the warmth vanished, and the tingling stopped just as abruptly. The room fell silent, except for the hum of the air conditioner. Okay, Samantha's voice came, breathless but triumphant. You can open your eyes now. I cracked one eye open, then the other. Everything seemed bigger. The furniture loomed larger, and the ceiling looked farther away. I glanced down and froze. My hands were smaller, with slender fingers. My arms were smooth, my legs slimmer. My whole body had transformed. I stared at the soft pink shirt that now hung on me. No, not a shirt, a tank top with frills. My shorts had turned into snug, striped leggings. I touched my face, brushing against soft, chin-length hair that wasn't mine. I looked at the mirror across the room and saw her. A 10-year-old girl, staring back with wide, startled eyes. My eyes, but not really mine. The face was delicate, with soft cheeks and a curious expression. Samantha clapped her hands, practically vibrating with excitement. Nicole! Oh my gosh, you look perfect! Nicole?" I repeated, my voice higher and lighter. I clapped a hand over my mouth in shock. "Yeah, that's your name today," Samantha declared. "You didn't think you could still be Alex, did you? Now, come on, time to get your swimsuit on." She tossed the bright pink one piece at me. It landed on my lap, the fabric soft and glaringly bright. "Do I really have to wear this?" I asked, my voice almost a whimper. "Yes, really." Samantha grinned. "You're a girl now. This is what girls wear to water parks. Trust me, it's not that bad." I scowled, but deep down, I knew she was right, I had agreed to this. With a resigned sigh, I grabbed the swimsuit and stood up, wobbling slightly, feeling strange in my new form. "How do I put this on?" I asked. Samantha burst out laughing. "Oh my gosh, you're so clueless! Come on, I'll show you." She grabbed my wrist and tugged me toward the bathroom. "Just step in, pull it up, and get your arms through the straps. Easy." I shut the door behind me, alone. I took a deep breath and looked at my reflection. It was still strange seeing this unfamiliar girl looking back. My reflection smiled tentatively, and for a moment, I felt like it belonged. Shaking off the feeling, I stepped into the swimsuit, pulling it up awkwardly. It was tighter than I expected, but eventually, I got it on. I looked in the mirror again. There I was, Nicole, in a bright pink swimsuit. Weird? Absolutely! But maybe not as awful as I thought, almost like stepping into a different world. "Hey, you okay in there?" Samantha called. "Yeah," I said, my new voice sounding more natural now. "I think I got it." I opened the door, and Samantha's face lit up. "You look amazing," she said. "Now we just need some flip-flops and a skirt, and we're good to go." "A skirt?" I raised an eyebrow. "Isn't the swimsuit enough?" Samantha grinned, clearly having way too much fun. "Nope! The skirt is part of the look! It's just a cover-up! Trust me, all the girls do it!" I groaned but slipped the skirt on. It swished around my knees, feeling foreign. Samantha stepped back, hands on her hips. "Perfect! You're going to blend in like you've been one of the girls all along." I looked in the mirror again. The reflection was still strange, but also oddly okay. Foreign yet familiar, like discovering a side of me I never knew. "How do I act normal?" I asked. "What if I say something weird?" Samantha draped a towel over her arm, laughing. "Just relax. Talk about music, summer plans. If someone talks about boys, giggle a little. It's easy." Giggling. "Great," I muttered, rolling my eyes. "You'll be fine, Nicole," Samantha said, giving me a playful shove. "Just go with the flow." We headed downstairs, my heart pounding with every step. My mind raced, imagining everything that could go wrong, someone recognizing me, tripping over my own feet, saying the wrong thing. But Samantha nudged me toward the door, her confidence unwavering. "Come on! The others are waiting!" I took a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves. "Does everyone know I'll be there?" Samantha smiled slyly. "Of course! But they're expecting Nicole, not Alex. No pressure." I shot her a glare, but she just winked as she opened the door, revealing the outside world, a world I wasn't used to seeing as a girl. As we walked down the front steps, Samantha practically skipped with excitement while I trudged along, my heart racing. Everything about this, the skirt swishing against my knees, the snug swimsuit, even the lighter bounce in my step, felt alien. "Stop fidgeting," Samantha said, glancing back. "You look fine." Easy for her to say. She wasn't the one dressed like this for the first time in her life. We made our way to the car. Samantha tossed her bag in the back seat. "You get shotgun," she chirped, as if everything was perfectly normal. Sliding into the front seat, I shifted awkwardly. The seatbelt pressed against my transformed body in strange ways, adding to my discomfort. "You're doing great, Nicole," Samantha said with a playful nudge. "Once we get there, you'll forget you were even nervous," I shot her with a skeptical look. Sure. She laughed, clearly enjoying my discomfort. Hey, you never know. You might even have fun. Uh-huh, I muttered. Fun. Because who wouldn't love being dropped into an alternate reality in a pink swimsuit and skirt? The car rumbled down the road, and I leaned my head against the window, watching the streets blur by. It was too late to back out now. Samantha had that look, the one she always got when dragging me into something, but somehow, this felt bigger. Riskier. I fiddled with the hem of the skirt, my thoughts swirling. What if I tripped? What if I said something dumb? What if? Stop overthinking it, Samantha said, reading my mind. Just be yourself. Or, be Nicole. I rolled my eyes. Yeah, that's easy. She laughed, and despite everything, I couldn't help but smile a little. As crazy as her plans always were, they usually worked out. And part of me, the part that secretly loved new experiences, no matter how weird, was curious. What if this actually worked? We pulled into the water park's parking lot, and my stomach did a flip. The towering slides and sparkling pools loomed in the distance, the sound of laughter and splashing filling the air. Samantha turned off the engine and gave me a reassuring smile. Ready? I wasn't. Not even close. But I nodded anyway. Let's do this! Samantha grinned, grabbing our bags, and hopping out of the car, leaving me to follow. As I stepped out, the warm breeze caught the hem of my skirt, and I shivered despite the heat. This was it! No turning back now! We walked toward the entrance, Samantha leading the way with confidence, as if she planned everything to perfection. I felt like I was teetering on the edge of a cliff, ready to dive into the unknown. And as strange as it all felt, the swimsuit, the skirt, the new name, I had to admit, part of me was excited to see what would happen next. Chapter 2. The entrance to the water park loomed ahead, the colorful signs advertising wave pools, towering slides, and lazy rivers, while excited kids tugged their parents toward the gate. Samantha practically skipped to the ticket booth, and I shuffled behind her, clutching my bag like it was a lifeline. My heart pounded as we joined the line. It was really happening! I was here, in public, as Nicole. Every step forward brought a fresh wave of nerves, and I tugged at the hem of the skirt again. The new sensations, everything from the bounce of the skirt to the snug swimsuit pressing against my skin, kept reminding me just how out of place I felt in this new body. As we reached the front of the line, Samantha handed over the tickets with a beaming smile. 1 teen and 1 kid, she chirped cheerfully. The attendant gave us wristbands without a second glance, proving that Samantha was right, no one was paying any special attention to us. Still, I couldn't shake the uneasy feeling swirling in my chest. We stepped through the gates, and the sound of rushing water and laughter hit me full force. The whole park stretched out before us, twisting water slides, pools shimmering under the sun, and kids running around in swimsuits of every shape and color. Samantha turned to me with a grin. See? Easy peasy! Now the real fun begins! Before I could respond, I spotted a group of girls heading toward us. My heart lurched. Samantha's friends! A swarm of thoughts crashed into my mind all at once. What if they noticed something was off? What if I said something dumb? What if? Nicole! Samantha nudged me with her elbow, forcing me to snap out of my panic. Do not freak out! Just be cool! There were 3 girls, all of them were older than me of course, Samantha is 5 years older than me. But to my surprise next to them were 3 other little girls, they were my age, they all looked like they were about 11 years old. One of the older girls waved enthusiastically as they approached. Hey, Sam! Is this Nicole? She asked, smiling warmly as she glanced down at me. Yup, this is Nicole, Samantha said without missing a beat, throwing an arm around my shoulder as if we'd been best friends forever. I swallowed hard, my heart pounding in my chest. Gave Samantha a sideways glance, but she just grinned like everything was going perfectly according to plan. The older girls leaned in, studying me with curious but friendly expressions. Hi, Nicole! One of them said brightly. She had curly brown hair and wore a bright yellow bikini. I'm Tara. This is Jess and Kaylee." She gestured to the other two, who smiled and gave me little waves. "And these three munchkins are my cousin Emma and her friends Chloe and Riley," Tara added, motioning toward the smaller girls. "Hi!" Emma greeted, grinning at me with a missing front tooth. The other two girls giggled shyly, eyeing me like I was some new puzzle to solve. I felt my stomach twist with nerves. "Keep it together! Just act normal," I reminded myself. "Hi," I stammered, my voice still strange and soft in my ears. I managed an awkward wave. "Nice to meet you." Jess, a tall girl with long, braided hair, gave me an encouraging smile. "Aw, Nicole, you're adorable! You will fit right in." Samantha shot me with a smug look, her eyes sparkling with triumph. I resisted the urge to roll my eyes. Of course, everything was going perfectly for her. Meanwhile, I was fighting the impulse to tug at my skirt again. "So, you ready for the water park, Nicole?" Kaylee asked, shifting the strap of her bag on her shoulder. She seemed genuinely excited to have me there, which was both comforting and slightly unnerving. "Yeah, I guess," I mumbled, shuffling awkwardly. I began to walk with the girls, but then Emma, Chloe and Riley stopped me. I looked at them weirdly. "Alex, is that you?" Emma asked, saying my boy's name aloud. I looked at her in shock. How would she ever know that my real name is Alex? "Dude, your sister did the same thing to you that my sister did us," she said, motioning to herself, Chloe, and Riley. "It's us, I'm really Ethan, Chloe is really Shane, and Riley is really Matt." I stopped walking and looked at them. These were my best friends. How did they get stuck looking like girls? My head spun as I stared at the three girls, no, boys, no, whatever they were now. I blinked a few times, trying to make sense of what I had just heard. My jaw dropped. "Wait! What?" I blurted out, blinking at the three girls in disbelief. Emma, no, Ethan, nodded eagerly. "Yup! Samantha's not the only sister who thought it'd be fun to mess with their little brothers. Our sisters did the same thing to us a few days ago, and now we're stuck like this for the summer." Riley, or rather Matt, gave me a knowing look. "We thought it was just gonna be for a day, just like they promised. But then, the magic didn't wear off." Chloe, who had once been Shane, crossed her arms with a huff. "They said the spell would wear off by the end of the day. That was a week ago." A cold shiver ran down my spine as I looked back towards Samantha, who was chatting casually with her older friends like nothing unusual had happened. My heart pounded faster. "You're telling me you've been stuck like this? For days?" I whispered, my voice quivering slightly. Ethan gave a grim nod. "Yep, we thought it was just a harmless prank too. But now every time we wake up, we're still girls. No clue how to undo it." "Why didn't you tell anyone?" I asked, my mind reeling. "We tried," Matt said with a sigh. "Our sisters just keep saying, 'Oh, it'll wear off soon.' But it has not. And they think it is hilarious watching us learn the ropes." Chloe scowled, kicking the dirt beneath her sandals. "It's a nightmare. No one takes us seriously anymore, and we have had to do all the girly stuff with them." She grimaced. "Braiding hair, painting nails, shopping. It is like a bad dream." I could feel the panic rising in my chest as I processed what they were saying. This wasn't just a harmless, one-time adventure, this was potentially a long-term transformation. What if the same thing happened to me? What if I woke up tomorrow and I was still Nicole? Or worse, what if I stayed like this forever? "Does Samantha know?" I asked, my voice shaky. "Of course she knows," Ethan grumbled. "Your sister isn't on it, just like ours are. They think it's some kind of bonding experience or whatever. Now you can see how fun it is to be us," he added, mocking the sing-song tone their sisters had probably used. My stomach churned. I tugged at the strap of my swimsuit, the tight fabric suddenly feeling even more suffocating. "This can't be happening," I muttered under my breath. "Welcome to the club," Matt said dryly. "We were freaked out too at first. But after a few days, you kinda get used to it." not that you have a choice." I shook my head, trying to keep my thoughts from spiraling out of control. No way! I have to get back to being me, today. There's gotta be a way to reverse this. Chloe shrugged helplessly. We tried everything. Nothing worked. The spell just sticks. I looked back at Samantha again, feeling a mix of betrayal and frustration bubble up inside me. She hadn't just roped me into an adventure, she knew this could last way longer than a day and still didn't warn me. Ethan put a hand on my shoulder. "I hate to say it, dude, but you're probably stuck like this too. At least for now." I groaned, feeling like the ground was slipping out from under me. "But look," Ethan added quickly, trying to be reassuring. "If it's any consolation, it's not as awful as you think. You get used to it. I mean, you kinda have to." "Yeah," Matt chimed in. "And we'll help you out. It's weird, but you're not alone. We're in this together." I wanted to argue, to shout that there had to be some way out of this, but a part of me knew they were probably right. For now, at least, I was stuck as Nicole. I let out a long, defeated sigh. Ethan gave me a sympathetic smile. "Hey, it's not all bad. I mean, once you figure out how to avoid the whole giggling and boys conversation, the rest kind of falls into place." Shane nodded. "Yeah. And if we're being honest, the water park isn't a terrible place to figure it out. Just go with the flow? It's easier if you don't fight it." Matt nudged me with his elbow. "Plus, we're pros at this now. We've been through it all, how to walk, talk, and not get caught staring at your reflection like a total weirdo." He grinned. "We'll have your back." Despite the overwhelming situation, I couldn't help but crack a small, nervous smile. It was oddly reassuring knowing I wasn't the only one going through this bizarre ordeal. If they could survive it, if they could somehow adjust to this weird new reality, maybe I could too. At least for the day. Still, the fact that their transformation had stuck gnawed at me. I looked towards Samantha again, chatting happily with her friends, carefree and oblivious to my growing anxiety. She had known all along. She knew there was a chance this wouldn't just be a quick day of fun, and she still went through with it. That realization stung more than anything else. I turned back to Ethan, Shane, and Matt, taking a deep breath. "Okay. So what's the plan?" Ethan grinned. "Simple. Act normal, stay close to us, and follow our lead. If you need help, just signal. Like this." He gave me an exaggerated wink and a subtle hand gesture that looked suspiciously like scratching his nose. Shane rolled her eyes. "That's not a signal, Ethan. That's just weird." "Hey, it works," Ethan shot back, smirking. "Trust me. Anyway, we'll make sure you survive this." Matt leaned in conspiratorially. "And remember, avoid any conversations about boys if you can help it. If it comes up, just nod and say, 'Oh my gosh, I know, right?' Works like a charm." I let out a nervous laugh, the absurdity of the situation momentarily easing my nerves. "Got it? Blend in, avoid boys, and survive the day." Shane gave me a reassuring pat on the shoulder. "Exactly. Stick with us, Nicole. We've got your back." Before I could respond, Samantha called out from ahead. "Nicole! Come on! We're heading to the wave pool." With a sigh, I adjusted the hem of my skirt one last time and followed my new allies toward the water park's sprawling attractions. The warm sun beat down on us as we made our way through the crowds, the sound of splashing water and laughter filling the air. As strange as it all felt, part of me realized that, whether I liked it or not, I was in this now. And if I was stuck as Nicole for the time being, I might as well make the most of it. After all, what other choice did I have? I shot a glance at Ethan, Shane, and Matt, who walked beside me with an easy, almost practiced confidence. "Alright, Nicole," Ethan whispered with a grin. "Let's show these girls how it's done." And with that, we plunged into the heart of the water park, ready to take on the adventure, whether I was ready or not. Chapter 3. As we reached the wave pool, my nerves tangled into tight knots. Samantha and her friends spread their towels along the edge of the water, chattering and laughing like they did not have a care in the world. I stood awkwardly to the side, fidgeting with the hem of my skirt, still processing what Emma and the others had told me. The idea that the magic might not wear off today gnawed at me. But if they could survive, maybe I could too! The pool shimmered in the afternoon sunlight, packed with kids bobbing up and down on the artificial waves. Samantha tossed her towel aside and waded into the shallow water, beckoning me and the others to follow. I glanced at Emma, Chloe, and Riley, my fellow transformed friends, and took a breath. "Come on, Nicole!" Samantha called, already waist deep. "You're going to love this!" Nicole! I rolled the name around in my mind again, still not used to hearing it attached to me. I was supposed to dive headfirst into this identity, but it still felt like I was wearing a costume that didn't quite fit. I hesitated at the water's edge, toes curling into the warm concrete. The water shimmered, and kids splashed around, carefree and joyful. Meanwhile, I stood frozen, caught between my old identity and this strange, new role as Nicole. Ethan, or Emma, as he was currently known, nudged me with his elbow. "Trust me, the water helps," he whispered. "It's easier to forget about everything else once you're splashing around." Chloe and Riley nodded encouragingly beside him. "Yeah," Chloe added with a sly grin. "And besides, no one can tell who you are when you're underwater." I inhaled deeply, feeling the unfamiliar tug of the swimsuit straps on my shoulders. The others waded in without a second thought, water gliding over their legs as if they had been girls all along. Samantha waved me over again, clearly growing impatient. I gave one last tug at the hem of my skirt, stepping out of it, and with a slow step forward I stepped into the cool water, a shiver running up my spine as it lapped against my legs. "There you go!" Samantha called, flashing a proud smile. "See? Not so bad!" I waded deeper, feeling the water lift the weight from my body as if it were washing away some of my awkwardness. The water surrounded me, cool and refreshing, making the awkward tightness of the swimsuit seem less important. I took a few more steps until I was waist deep, the gentle waves pushing against my stomach. For a moment, it felt like I could breathe again, as if the water had swept away the heavy awkwardness that clung to me all day. Emma floated nearby, a knowing smile on his, well, her, face. "See? Not so bad, right?" I gave a small nod, still unsure if I was ready to let myself enjoy this. "Yeah, I guess." Samantha, standing a few feet away, tossed a playful splash in my direction. "Come on, Nicole! Let's see if you can catch me!" She spun around, laughing as she swam toward deeper water. A playful part of me sparked to life, and before I could overthink it, I lunged after her. The water seemed to carry me, my body moving smoothly in ways that felt oddly natural. I had always been a decent swimmer, but in this new body, I felt faster, lighter. It was like my limbs knew what to do, even though my mind was still struggling to catch up. As I chased after Samantha, I could hear Emma, Chloe, and Riley cheering me on from the sidelines, their laughter blending with the sounds of the wave pool. I pushed through the water, catching up to Samantha just as a larger wave rolled in. It hit us both, sending us tumbling under the surface. For a brief, disorienting moment, everything was bubbles and movement. I kicked upward, breaking the surface with a gasp, and was met with Samantha's triumphant grin. "Gotcha!" she said, splashing me again for good measure. I laughed, an honest, carefree laugh that startled me. It felt good, in a way I hadn't expected. For the first time since this whole bizarre plan started, I wasn't thinking about how weird everything felt or how awkward I looked. I was just having fun. "Nice, Nicole!" Chloe called, floating nearby. "You're a natural!" I gave her a small smile, still catching my breath. Maybe this wasn't as impossible as I thought. For the next half hour, we swam, splashed, and laughed as if everything was perfectly normal. The water made it easy to forget how strange the situation was. No one cared that I was supposed to be Alex, not Nicole. No one noticed my awkwardness or the fact that I was still figuring out how to move in this new body. For the first time all day, I felt like I wasn't pretending. I was just part of the group. We floated lazily on the waves, chatting and giggling like we'd known each other forever. Samantha's older friends drifted nearby, keeping to themselves but glancing over every so often to make sure we were doing okay. Ethan, Emma, swam up beside me and gave me a playful nudge. "Not so bad, huh?" she said with a smirk. I rolled my eyes but couldn't help the grin that spread across my face. "Okay, fine. It's kind of fun." Emma chuckled. "Told you. Just wait until we hit the big slides. That's when things really get crazy." I arched an eyebrow, a flicker of nerves returning. "Slides?" "Oh yeah," Riley, Matt, chimed in, paddling over with a mischievous grin. "You can't come to a water park and not try the slides." The thought of hurtling down a massive slide in this unfamiliar body sent a ripple of anxiety through me, but before I could protest, Samantha appeared beside me, dripping wet and grinning from ear to ear. "Nicole! We're going to the big slides next," she announced, clearly thrilled. "You're coming, right?" I hesitated, tugging at the strap of my swimsuit again. I don't know." Samantha gave me that look, the one that said "you're not getting out of this. Come on! You'll love it! And if you don't, well, at least it'll be hilarious!" Emma floated beside me, her expression sympathetic. "You'll be fine, Nicole. We'll all go together. Just follow our lead." I sighed, knowing there was no way I could back out without looking like a total coward. "Alright," I muttered. "But if I die on one of those slides, it's your fault." Riley let out a laugh. "That's the spirit!" As we climbed out of the pool, water streaming off our swimsuits, I couldn't help but feel a strange mixture of dread and excitement. Part of me wanted to run away, to call it quits before things got even more complicated. But another part, the part that had always loved a good challenge, wanted to see this through. I glanced at Samantha, who was already leading the way toward the towering slides in the distance. We followed Samantha across the park, the warm sun quickly drying the water off our skin as we approached the towering water slides. My heart pounded with each step, and I could feel the familiar twinge of anxiety creeping back in. The slide loomed above us like a giant, twisting serpent, promising both exhilaration and terror. Emma, no, Ethan, caught my uneasy expression and gave me a reassuring grin. "Relax, Nicole! The slide looks scarier than it really is. You'll be fine." Easy for him to say. He'd had a whole week to get used to his new reality. I was still trying to figure out how to walk without tripping over my own feet. "Okay, here's the plan," Samantha said as we reached the line for the slide. "We'll go two at a time. It's more fun that way." She shot me a sly grin. "And you and Emma can go together, right, Nicole?" I narrowed my eyes at her. It was clear she was enjoying every second of this, but before I could protest, Emma looped her arm through mine, grinning like this was the best day ever. "We've got this," she whispered with a wink. "Just scream if it gets too wild. That's what I do." I sighed. "Great advice, thanks." The line moved surprisingly quickly, and before I knew it, we were standing at the top of the platform, staring down at the massive, twisting slide. A lifeguard in a bright red shirt waved us forward with an encouraging smile. "Next pair, you two ready?" he asked, nodding at Emma and me. Not really, I thought, but Emma gave an enthusiastic nod and pulled me toward the slide before I could back out. "Let's do this!" She cheered, and without giving me a chance to protest, she sat down on the slide, pulling me down with her. The moment my feet left the ground, gravity took over. The slide swallowed us, and we were gone, racing through twists and turns at breakneck speed. I let out a startled yelp, the smooth plastic slipped beneath us as we shot down the slide. Emma's laughter echoed through the tunnel, and, despite my fear, I found myself laughing too. The twists, the dips, the sudden drops, it was terrifying, but it was also exhilarating. The thrill of the ride washed over me, sweeping away my doubts and insecurities, if only for a moment. We shot out of the tunnel in a burst of water, landing in the splash pool at the bottom with a satisfying whoosh. I surfaced, gasping for air, my heart pounding with a mixture of fear and adrenaline. Emma popped up beside me, her face glowing with excitement. "See? I told you it was fun!" I pushed my wet hair out of my face, catching my breath. "That was actually kind of awesome," I admitted, a smile tugging at the corners of my mouth. The others cheered from the sidelines as we clambered out of the pool, water streaming off our swimsuits. Samantha gave me a playful nudge as we joined her at the base of the slide. "What did I tell you? You're a natural, Nicole!" I rolled my eyes, but the smile stayed on my face. Maybe this wasn't so bad after all. The rest of the afternoon passed in a blur of slides, splashes, and laughter. I stuck close to Emma, Chloe, and Riley, finding comfort in their company. Despite the strangeness of the situation, it felt surprisingly easy to fall into step with them, to chat about silly things, to laugh at dumb jokes, and to enjoy the day for what it was. At some point, I realized that I wasn't just pretending to be Nicole. I was starting to feel like her, at least, a version of her that I could live with. The fear of being discovered, of saying the wrong thing, of standing out, it all melted away in the warmth of the sun and the joy of the water. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows over the park, Samantha gathered us all together for one last treat. "Ice cream time!" she declared, leading the way to a colorful stand by the wave pool. I ordered a cone of strawberry ice cream, because, why not? If I was going to be Nicole, I might as well go all in. We sat in a circle on the grass, enjoying our ice cream as the day wound down. Emma nudged me with her elbow, a mischievous glint in her eye. "So, not the worst day ever, huh?" I shook my head, licking my cone thoughtfully. "No! Not the worst!" Matt, still Riley, grinned. "Told you! Being a girl isn't all bad. Just weird sometimes." Chloe leaned back on her hands, gazing up at the sky. "And the ice cream helps." We all laughed, the sound light and carefree, like bubbles drifting on the breeze. For the first time all day, I felt truly relaxed. As the sunset in the park began to empty out, Samantha gathered our things and led us back to the car. The drive home was quiet, the excitement of the day giving way to a pleasant, sleepy calm. I leaned my head against the window, watching the world blur by, my mind swirling with thoughts. I still didn't know what would happen tomorrow, whether I'd wake up as Alex or if I'd still be Nicole. But for now, I was content. Whatever came next, I knew one thing for sure, I wasn't facing it alone. Chapter 4. After the whirlwind day at the water park, I thought the craziness might finally be over. But as we pulled out of the parking lot, Samantha leaned over the seat, a mischievous grin on her face. "Guess what, Nicole? The girls are having a sleepover tonight, and you're invited." I blinked in disbelief. "What?" I shot Samantha a look, but she just smiled innocently. "Come on, Nicole! It'll be fun! The perfect way to really settle into things!" Fun! Right! I could already feel my stomach nodding again. This wasn't just one day of weirdness, it was turning into a full-fledged, no-escape situation. I imagined myself sitting in a circle with the girls, painting nails and braiding hair, and suppressed a groan. "But I didn't bring any clothes," I muttered, hoping to find some excuse, any excuse, not to go. Samantha waved her hand dismissively. "Don't worry about it. I packed an overnight bag for you." Of course she did! I slumped back in my seat, defeated. Great! When we pulled up to Emma's house, it was already getting dark. The front porch light was on, and the sounds of giggles and chatter drifted out from inside. Emma came running to the car, calling over her shoulder, "Come on, Nicole! This is gonna be awesome!" I reluctantly climbed out, trailing behind Emma as she grabbed my overnight bag. "You've got this," she whispered, squeezing my shoulder. I wasn't convinced. I looked behind me to see Samantha's car pulling away from the Emma's house, leaving me stranded here. Inside, Emma's living room was a swirl of colors, blankets, pillows, and stuffed animals scattered everywhere. Chloe and Riley were already sprawled out on the floor, wearing pajamas that were far too cute for any self-respecting 11-year-old boy. Riley gave me a thumbs up as I shuffled in, still feeling like a fish out of water. "Nicole," Emma said, practically bouncing with excitement. "You're just in time for makeovers." I froze. "Makeovers? Oh, no," I muttered under my breath. Before I could back away, Chloe and Riley were already on their feet, dragging me toward the center of the living room. A collection of nail polish bottles, hairbrushes, and glittery makeup kits sat waiting, like a trap that had been perfectly set just for me. I shot Emma with a desperate look, but she only shrugged, clearly amused by my discomfort. "You'll survive," she whispered with a grin. We all had to. I sank onto a pile of pillows, still clutching my overnight bag like a lifeline. Maybe I could stay on the sidelines, just observe, not participate. But Chloe had other ideas. "Okay, Nicole, first things first, we need to get you into a nice dress." I was tense. "A dress? Are you serious?" I looked around the room, hoping for some kind of escape route, but Emma, Chloe, and Riley were already running to Emma's room and rummaging through Emma's closet with the excitement of kids on Christmas morning. "Come on, Nicole! It is part of the sleepover experience!" Emma said cheerfully, holding up a frilly pastel sundress covered in little flowers. I shot her a desperate look. "I don't think that's really necessary." Riley grinned, clearly having too much fun with this. "Oh, but it is necessary. It's, like, sleepover rule number 1. You got to dress the part. Besides, you can't still be wearing your swimsuit." I groaned. They weren't going to let me off the hook. Chloe marched over, holding the dress out with a dramatic flourish. "Here! You can change in the bathroom. We will wait." With no other options, I grabbed the dress and shuffled toward the bathroom, my heart pounding with every step. This could not really be happening, could it? I was supposed to just try on a dress like it was the most normal thing in the world. I closed the bathroom door behind me and held the dress up, feeling the soft fabric between my fingers. The idea of putting it on sent a wave of embarrassment through me, but at the same time, I knew I was already in too deep to back out now. With a resigned sigh, I slipped out of my swimsuit and stepped into the dress, pulling it up over my unfamiliar body. It fit surprisingly well, the fabric hugging my smaller frame comfortably. I stared at myself in the bathroom mirror, adjusting the straps and smoothing the skirt. The reflection that looked back at me wasn't just Nicole anymore, it was someone else entirely. I twirled slightly, the hem of the dress fluttering around my legs, and despite myself, I felt a tiny flicker of curiosity. What if this wasn't as bad as I thought? Taking a deep breath, I opened the door. The girls were waiting eagerly, and the moment they saw me, they erupted into cheers. "Oh my gosh, Nicole! You look so cute!" Chloe squealed, clapping her hands. Riley gave me an exaggerated once-over, nodding approvingly. "Yep! You totally nailed it!" Emma smirked, clearly enjoying the whole situation. "See? It's not so bad, right?" I tugged awkwardly at the hem of the dress, my face burning with embarrassment. "I feel ridiculous," I muttered. But the girls just laughed, pulling me into the living room before I could second guess anything. "Ridiculous? No way! You're one of us now!" Riley declared, handing me a sparkly hairbrush. I groaned inwardly. This night was far from over. Hours later, somehow, I found myself sitting cross-legged on the floor, my nails freshly painted a shimmering pink, my hair braided into neat little plaits. I had even let them put a bit of glitter on my cheeks. How that happened, I had no idea. Every part of me screamed that this was the weirdest experience I'd ever had, but weirdly, it wasn't awful. We played games, told stories, and giggled over silly jokes, mostly because I had no choice but to giggle along. It was strange, but there was something oddly comforting about being included so easily, like I had slipped into a world where everything felt light and carefree. At some point, as the night wore on and the giggles gave way to tired yawns, Emma leaned over and whispered, "See? Told you sleepovers aren't so bad." I gave her a tired smile, too sleepy to argue. "Yeah! I guess!" As we all snuggled into our sleeping bags under a mountain of blankets, I realized something strange. I wasn't thinking about being Alex or Nicole anymore. I was just there. And for the first time, that didn't feel so weird. Just as my eyelids started to droop, Emma whispered, "Hey, Nicole? Yeah? Tomorrow. It might still be the same. But it gets easier, okay? I promise." I nodded, the warmth of her words making me feel a little braver. "Thanks, Emma." With that, I let myself drift off, knowing that whatever came next, I wouldn't be facing it alone. And as strange as it all was, maybe, just maybe, I could figure out how to navigate this new reality, one day at a time. And with any luck, maybe even enjoy the ride. Chapter 5. I awoke the next morning to the distant smell of pancakes. Blinking my eyes open, I was momentarily disoriented, surrounded by pillows, stuffed animals, and the warm hum of early morning sunlight filtering through the windows. For a second, I thought everything that had happened, the water park, the makeover, even being called Nicole had been some bizarre dream. Then I moved. The hem of the nightgown shifted against my skin, soft and unfamiliar. This wasn't a dream. Wearing the nightgown from last night, I was still Nicole. I sat up slowly, glancing around the room. Emma, Chloe, and Riley were all still nestled in their sleeping bags, except for Emma, who was rubbing her eyes groggily beside me. When she noticed I was awake, she gave me a sleepy grin. Then she gave me a look of surprise. "You're back to being Alex," she said kind of sadly. My heart skipped a beat. "What?" I gasped, looking down at myself. Sure enough, the soft dress I had fallen asleep in now hung awkwardly on my regular boyish frame. My arms were longer, my legs lanky again, and my braided hair was gone. I reached up to feel the familiar mess of short hair that belonged to Alex, not Nicole. Emma gave me a small, sad smile, sitting up beside me. "Guess the magic wore off of you after all." I couldn't decide if I was relieved or disappointed. I tugged at the dress awkwardly, feeling both out of place and strangely nostalgic for the version of myself I had been the day before. Chloe stirred from her sleeping bag, blinking awake. "What's going on?" she mumbled, rubbing her eyes. "Alex is back," Emma said quietly, her voice tinged with a hint of sadness. Chloe sat up slowly, and Riley groggily followed. Both looked at me, their sleepy faces a mix of surprise and understanding. For a moment, none of us spoke, the weight of the change sinking in. "So, that's it, huh?" I muttered. "I'm back to normal." Emma shrugged, giving me a sympathetic smile. "Yeah, I guess so. Just like our sisters said it would." But something about the way she said it, like she wasn't entirely sure whether that was a good thing, hit me harder than I expected. Emma's sister had told not only Ethan, but also Shane, and Matt that they would return to being boys after just a day of being turned into girls, and yet here they were still forced to be girls. Why was I so different? The truth was, part of me missed Nicole. Not just the name or the body, but the experience. The sense of belonging, the ease of laughter, the way the girls had accepted me without question. I had not realized how much I'd started to enjoy it, how free it had felt, in a weird, unexpected way. I sighed, pulling my knees to my chest. "So, what now?" Emma gave me a thoughtful look. "Now? We eat pancakes." Chloe and Riley giggled at that, breaking the tension, and soon we were all laughing quietly. It felt good, like the awkwardness of the moment had lifted, even though I wasn't sure what to make of all the thoughts swirling inside me. Emma stood up, tossing me a grin. "Come on, Alex! You may not be Nicole anymore, but breakfast is still breakfast." I got up, still being the only one in my normal boy body. These 3 other girls were my best friends, but I struggled to think of them as just girls, because I knew the truth behind their transformations. They weren't just Emma, Chloe, and Riley. They were Ethan, Shane, and Matt. Just like I wasn't just Alex yesterday, I had been Nicole, even if only for a short time. As we made our way to the kitchen, my mind raced. Something didn't add up. Why had the spell only worn off for me? And why did it still cling to my friends, forcing them to stay in these unfamiliar bodies? I couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to this magic than Samantha and the other sisters had let on. The kitchen smelled like pancakes and syrup. Emma's older sister, Tara, was flipping pancakes at the stove, humming to herself. She glanced over her shoulder with a knowing smile. "Morning, sleepyheads! Pancakes are almost ready!" Emma shot me a look that said, "See? This is what we have to deal with every day now." I sat down at the table, rubbing my eyes, still trying to make sense of everything. Tara set a plate of pancakes in front of us, and for a while, the four of us ate in silence, the weight of yesterday lingering in the air. The sound of forks on plates and syrup drizzling filled the space between us. It was both peaceful and a little awkward. Finally, I couldn't keep it in anymore. "So, you guys really don't know how to reverse this?" Emma poked at his pancake, his shoulders slumping. "Nope. We tried everything we could think of. Nothing works." Riley nodded, sighing. "Our sisters keep saying it'll wear off. But it's been over a week, and we're still like this." Chloe groaned, resting her chin in her hands. "I swear, they think it's the funniest thing ever. They keep telling us to embrace it." I frowned, gripping my fork a little tighter. "But why did it wear off for me?" Emma gave me a thoughtful look. "That's what we're wondering too. Maybe the spell is different for everyone? Or..." She trailed off, her eyes narrowing as if something had just occurred to her. "Maybe the spell only worked on you temporarily because you weren't supposed to be part of it long term." I blinked. "What do you mean?" Riley leaned in, a glint of frustration in her eyes. "Think about it, Samantha's whole plan was for you to be Nicole for the day. That was a promise, right? One day only. But our sisters didn't exactly say how long we'd be stuck like this." Chloe drummed her fingers on the table, nodding slowly. "Yeah. They just said it would wear off soon. But soon is feeling awfully long." I sank back into my chair, feeling a knot of guilt in my stomach. As much as yesterday had felt like a crazy adventure, it was different for them. They were living in this reality every day, navigating life as someone they didn't expect to be. "Maybe," I started, then hesitated, unsure if I wanted to voice the thought. "Maybe there's a way to undo it. A way the sisters aren't telling you." Emma gave me a curious look. "Like what?" I leaned in, my voice dropping to a whisper. "What if the spell only wears off when they want it to? Like, what if they have to decide you're done? Or, maybe there's some kind of condition?" Riley scowled, stabbing at her pancake. "Figures. It'd be just like them to dangle the answer in front of us without telling us the rules." Chloe slumped back in her chair with a sigh. "So what do we do? Just wait around for them to get bored?" Emma shook her head. "We've waited long enough. If there's a way to reverse this, we need to find it. And if the sisters know something they're not telling us, then we need to figure that out, too." The determination in her voice was contagious. I felt a flicker of hope stir in my chest. Maybe we could solve this. Maybe, together, we could find a way to undo the magic, on our terms. "Alright," I said, sitting up straighter. "So, where do we start?" Emma grinned, a spark of mischief in her eyes. "Simple. We play their game. But on our terms this time." Chloe and Riley exchanged glances, a slow smile spreading across their faces. "I like the sound of that," Riley said, her grin matching Emma's. For the first time all morning, I felt a flicker of excitement. Whatever came next, we were in it together. We gathered in Emma's room after breakfast, closing the door behind us to keep our conversation private. The plan was clear: if the sisters weren't going to end the spell willingly, we'd have to take matters into our own hands. The first step? Find the spell book they'd use to turn us, and get some serious payback. "Alright," Emma said, her voice low and determined. "We know they used a spell book, which means they have it hidden somewhere. All we have to do is find it." Riley grinned mischievously, cracking his knuckles. "And then we hit them where it hurts." Chloe gave a wicked smirk. "Yeah! Let's see how they like being boys for a while." I wasn't entirely sure how I felt about turning them into boys, even if it was temporary, but after everything they'd put us through, it seemed only fair. And it was our best shot at reversing the spell without waiting indefinitely. I glanced around the room, heart racing with the excitement of our new mission. Okay, so, how do we find the book without them catching on? Emma tapped her chin, thinking, we'll have to be sneaky. The good thing is, they don't think we're smart enough to try something like this. They've been underestimating us from the start. Chloe nodded in agreement. Yeah, we are just the little boys to them. They won't see it coming. Riley grinned. I say we start with Tara's room. She's the one who's always talking about magic and spells. If anyone's got the book, it's her. Emma agreed. Good idea. But we have to be careful. If we get caught snooping, it's game over. We quickly divided up tasks. Riley and Chloe would keep watch in case any of the sisters got suspicious, while Emma and I would search Tara's room. It was risky, but if we wanted our lives back, or at least control over the situation, we had to act fast. We waited until Samantha and her friends were distracted watching TV in the living room, laughing loudly at some show, oblivious to our plan. Emma led the way, tiptoeing down the hallway toward Tara's room with me close behind. My heart pounded as we slipped inside and quietly shut the door behind us. Tara's room was exactly what you'd expect from someone who dabbled in magic: candles, crystals, and weird little trinkets cluttered every surface. A bookshelf on one side of the room was packed with old, leather-bound books, which looked promising. Emma went straight for the bookshelf, running her fingers over the spines. We're looking for something small. Maybe a journal or notebook. I scanned the room, my eyes falling on a desk covered in notebooks and loose papers. One of the notebooks, bound in soft brown leather, caught my attention. It had the same worn, magical feel that Samantha's spell notebook had the day before. Emma, I whispered, holding up the notebook. Think this is it? Emma's eyes lit up as she took the book from me and flipped it open. Sure enough, the pages were filled with scribbled spells and instructions, written in a mix of neat handwriting and messy doodles. This is it, she whispered excitedly, flipping to a page marked with a ribbon. Here's the transformation spell they used. She pointed to the instructions, reading quietly aloud. The spell wears off naturally when the caster decides the recipient has learned the intended lesson. Emma's eyes widened. See? They have been lying to us, they control when the spell ends. I clenched my fists. So that was their game, they could have turned us back at any time, but they wanted to teach us some twisted lesson about being girls. Not only that, but it meant Samantha could have left me as Nicole if she wanted. I felt a flicker of anger bubble up inside me. Emma's expression hardened. Looks like we were right. They were never going to let us change back, not until they got bored. I leaned closer, spotting another spell written in the margin beside the transformation instructions. Wait, what's this? Emma squinted at the text. Gender swap. Temporarily switches the recipient's gender. A slow, mischievous grin spread across her face. This is perfect. I could not help but smile. They'll be stuck as boys until they agree to change you all back. Emma closed the notebook with a satisfied snap. Exactly. Let's see how long it takes them to learn their lesson. We snuck back to the living room, notebook in hand. Chloe and Riley gave us curious looks as we rejoined them, and Emma held up the book triumphantly. We found it, she whispered. And we've got the perfect spell. The others grinned, eager to hear the details. Emma explained the plan quickly. We used a reverse transformation spell on our sisters, temporarily turning them into boys. They wouldn't know how to undo it, at least, not until they were willing to change us back first. Wait, Riley said with a mischievous twinkle in his eye. So we get to see them freak out about being boys? Emma grinned. Oh yeah! And we'll make sure they get the full experience. Chloe laughed. This is going to be epic! I felt a mix of excitement and nerves. It was a bold plan, risky, even, but it felt good knowing we weren't powerless anymore. We were going to take control of the situation and show our sisters what it was like to be on the other side. Later that afternoon, When Samantha and her friends were gathered in the kitchen chatting, we made our move. Emma, with the notebook open in front of her, recited the reverse transformation spell under her breath, her voice steady and confident. A strange shimmer filled the air around us, and a ripple of magic washed over the room. The sisters froze mid-conversation, their expressions shifting from confusion to shock as the spell took hold. Within seconds, they began to change. Samantha's hair shortened, her frame shifting into something lankier and more boyish. Tara and the others underwent similar transformations, their voices dropping and their clothes morphing to match their new forms. What the? Samantha, now Sam, stared down at his new body in disbelief, his voice low and unfamiliar. Tara, now looking very much like a teenage boy, scowled. What just happened? Emma crossed her arms, grinning smugly. Welcome to our world, boys! The teen girls, now boys, looked at each other in horror. It was clear they hadn't expected this. They thought they were in control, but now the tables had turned. You wanted us to learn what it's like to be girls, Emma said with a sly smile. Well, now it's your turn to learn what it's like to be boys. Samantha, or rather, Sam, glared at me. How did you even? Doesn't matter, I said with a shrug, enjoying the rare moment of power. You'll stay like this until you change my friends back. The newly transformed brothers exchanged panicked glances, clearly realizing they were stuck. Tara tried to speak up, but her deepened voice made her sound more comical than intimidating. This isn't funny, she growled. Oh, it's hilarious, Riley said with a grin. And you'll stay like this until we get what we want. Sam shot me a frustrated glare. Fine. We'll reverse the spell. Just change us back. Emma smirked, folding her arms. Not so fun when you're on the other side, huh? After some grumbling and reluctant apologies, the sisters finally agreed to reverse the spells they cast on Emma, Chloe, and Riley. We gathered in the living room, the spell book opened once more, and with a few muttered words from Emma, the magic shimmered again. In an instant, Emma, Chloe, and Riley were back to their original forms, boys once more. They cheered, exchanging high fives and grinning triumphantly. Feels good to be back, Ethan said, ruffling his own hair with relief. The teen girls frowned, their faces twisted in a mixture of frustration and reluctant acceptance. They didn't like how things had turned out, but a deal was a deal, and defeat, however bitter, was theirs to swallow. Samantha shot me one last fierce glare, but behind it, I caught a flicker of respect she couldn't quite hide. Fine, Alex. You win this time, she muttered. I smirked, leaning into the moment. Next time? Maybe think twice before trying to take us on. With that, the spell book was tucked safely out of sight, sealing away its secrets for good. As we laughed and celebrated,